Microaggressions cause suffering, and suffering in Buddhist studies is called dukkha, which is translated as intense experiences of pain. It could also mean dissatisfaction, struggle, stress, tension, or misalignment. In this episode, we're going to begin to a discussion about the pain of microaggressions, and we're going to talk about what we can do about it. And we're going to get to it in what? Just a moment. Hi there. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Stress Talk Live. This is the place where we help women over 40 to live healthier lives through strategic stress management and solution focused self care. I'm Marcyline Bailey, and I am your host today. I'm so glad that you could join me. Now, sometimes I get questions about what do you mean when you say strategic stress management and solution focused self care? Well, when I talk about strategic stress management, I am talking about going deep so that we can share strategies and knowledge about how you can have sustainable low stress. We know that stress is a part of life, but we don't want stress to be so overwhelming that it affects your well being in a negative way. So, when I'm talking about strategic stress management, I'm talking about sharing those strategies that you can use and incorporate into your lifestyle so that it's habit, so that it's natural, so that it's just the way you do things. When it comes to solution focused self care, we can complain and talk about what the problems are all day long. And yeah, we do, right? We have those times when we're with our girls or when we're sitting around and we're just talking about what is not going right and what's causing us a lot of stress. But we want to share solutions, things that you can, again, incorporate into your lifestyle, things that you can use on a regular basis that is helpful, that is affirming, and that works for you. We want to provide information and strategies that fit you as well as your lifestyle. So that's what I mean when I say strategic stress management and solution focused self care. Ooh, let's get to the way I always start. Please follow ML Bailey Consultants on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. That's where we share content around stress management, solution focused, solution focused strategies, as well as strategic stress management. You can always find more information about ML Bailey Consultants by going here to this link, this tap link. And yeah, go to my revamped, newly updated website, and that's where you'll find it here. And I do have a little surprise for you. For those of you who follow me, who get my newsletter, you know that um, I haven't sent a newsletter out, right? Well, one of the reasons I've put a few things on hold is because I am in a transition mode. I've moved my office from one location to another. I have started to collaborate with a medical professional, a doctor, and I have new quarters. So I want to show you, I actually have a video of my new space. So if you will bear with me, I just want to pull it up so you can see. For those of you who are looking for a therapist in the area, I just want you to see what you'll see when you come to my new space. And here we go. Let's take a look. This is as you enter the building and you enter the office space. This is, this is the waiting area. It's spacious and nice and comfortable. And when I invite you back to my office, we'll just take a short walk. And this is it. This is what the new quarters look like. I wanted it to be comfortable. I wanted it to feel like home. I wanted it to feel relaxed and welcoming. Yay! So that's it. A shout out to my husband for helping me put together furniture, move furniture, put up pictures, all those things, and his wise counsel as I make this move. Also to my daughter, one of my daughters, who also helped put together furniture. So, what are we talking about today? This is a two-part series on microaggressions, and it is the start of a series that we're going to be doing through the month of March on workplace stress. What causes some of the things that cause workplace stress, as well as ways in which we can address it in ways that fit us and fit our lifestyle. So, for the next 2 weeks, today and next week, we're going to talk about 10 effective mindfulness strategies to address microaggressions in the workplace. And I had to break it up because there's so much, right? There's a lot about microaggressions. In this first part, we're going to talk about what microaggressions are. We're also going to talk about common responses that we often get when we report or talk about microaggressions. And then finally, we're going to talk about the impact that it has on well-being, our personal well-being, as well as the workplace, the well-being of the workplace. So today's topic, 10 effective mindfulness strategies to address microaggressions in the workplace. And this, as always, is a conversation. So if you have comments, please drop them in the comment box. If you have questions, please do the same. Again, this is a conversation. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. First, let's talk about microaggressions. What are they? You hear, some of us hear quite a bit about microaggressions. And, what are they? We know it when we experience it, but how do we explain it? And that's what I want to do in this first part. Explain what microaggressions are, and then we can talk about um, what what it means for us. So, what are microaggressions? First of all, there are three categories of microaggressions. The first are micro assaults. The second is micro insults. And then the third is micro invalidation. Now, microaggressions are those things that, um, well, let me go through each category, and then and I'll explain what is contained in each category. When we're talking about micro assaults, when you think about an assault, you think about something that, like somebody hitting you, or somebody pushing you down, or someone getting pushed down, or someone being harmed in some way. Micro assaults are those intentional and harmful, offensive things that people say or do. Okay? They're intentional, they are harmful, and they are offensive. They could be verbal, or they can be actions that are offensive. And oftentimes, these micro assaults are based on gender, race and ethnicity, or personal characteristics. So, someone may say something um, because you're a woman, right? They may say something offhand because you're a woman. They may say something harmful because you are Black or a woman of color. They may say something about your personal characteristics. But it's not just, it doesn't end there. Microaggressions can be levied based on a disability, someone's health status, someone's religion or their faith or their belief, also someone's social class, as well as their income status. So we often will think of microaggressions as things that are only based on race, and that is not true. It could be all of these other things: gender, race, ethnicity, personal characteristics, disability, health status, religion, faith, social class, or income status. I said that micro assaults can be verbal, they can be actions, but they can also be found in historically offensive symbols. So when someone comes, I remember a video that I saw of a repairman going to a woman's home. The repairman was a white male, and the homeowner was a Black female. And when the repairman drove up, he had a license plate, or a plate on the front of his car that had a Confederate flag on it. And the homeowner said, "Thank you, but no, thank you. I'm going to call someone else." And although the repairman said, "Oh, I didn't mean anything. I'm going to, I can take it off if that's okay." The homeowner said, "No, no. Um, I'm just going to go with someone else." So symbols that carry historically offensive, um, historically offensive. Um, I don't know what to say. That are historically offensive, that carry the weight of the hurt and pain that someone else has experienced, can also be microaggressive and be micro assaultive. Well, this is not only about Confederate flags, right? It can also be um, um, statues that are in someone's yard. a statue of the jockey that is like pitch black with red lips holding a lantern in someone's yard, or sitting on a bench with a fishing pole. Those are micro assaults. They can also be swastikas. Okay? So micro assaults are intentional. They are intentional. They are harmful. They are hurtful. And they are very offensive. Another category of microaggressions are micro insults. We talked about assaults. Those are very obvious, right? They're obvious, they're in your face. But let's talk about micro insults. Micro insults are very subtle. Those are the things that are said. They're the things that are offhand. They're very subtle. They're slight. They're the things that make you question, did I hear that right? Is it me? Did I misunderstand? They're the things that convey a person's stereotypical beliefs and their biases. Now, these may be backhanded compliments, right? For example, we know that sisters like me like to change our hair. We do. We love to change our hair, and we can. We can wear it straight. We can wear it curly. We can wear it coiled. We can wear braids. We can wear twists. We change our hair. That's our thing. That's what we do. A backhanded compliment is when you decide to have your hair straight and someone of another race comes up to you and says, oh, your hair is so pretty. And they begin to touch your hair, right? They touch your hair. They want to feel it. They want to touch it. That's an insult, ladies, y'all. That's an insult. Don't touch my hair. Don't touch it. Another thing is, as we're talking about hair, is if I decide to wear my hair straight and I have had it free, if I've had it natural, and someone says, oh, I love your hair that way when it's straight, but they don't say the same when it's natural, in its natural state, but they love this. That's an insult. It sounded like a compliment, and it was a compliment, but what does that mean? Does that mean that, my hair has to be straight in order to be pretty to you? It's hurtful. Another example of a backhanded compliment is when people say that they have friends of a certain race, certain ethnicity, but then their friend is the only one that they consider to be okay. And they put down other people of the same race or ethnicity because they don't know them. So micro insults are about exclusion. It's exclusionary. Is that a word? Well, it is now because I'm using it as such. So whereas micro assaults are in your face, micro insults are very subtle. And there is an exclusionary part to it. The third category is micro invalidation. And this is something that professional women experience. Because again, it's not only about being a person of color, it's also based in gender. So women experience this in the workplace as well, especially in areas that are traditionally occupied by men or by males. With micro invalidation, this is when our experiences and our struggles are minimized. It also can come in the form of dismissive, belittling, and making fun of. Think about you're a professional woman and you're working in an area in which your skill and your ability is invalidated. I've had that happen, and I'll share. I am a social worker, and I've been a social worker for almost 30 years. Well, maybe I've been a social worker I've been a social worker for 30 years. Isn't that something I have to think about it? It has over 30 years. Okay. I've been a social worker for over 30 years. And I had an attorney once say to me, because I was advocating for a family, I had an attorney say to me, well, you're just a bleeding heart. That's offensive. The social work profession is one of advocacy. That is one of our roles. In social work, in order to practice, especially in certain areas, we have to have master's degrees, which means in addition to the 4 years of study we did in undergrad, we have to do 3 additional years. We don't have 2-year programs or 1-year programs. We have 3-year programs in the graduate schools of social work. Not only that, at a point where he said that, I had run a couple of agencies. I had run a mental health center in 3 counties. All of the services, I was over all of the services and the staff and the property, 3 counties. But he said I was bleeding heart because I was functioning in my role as a social worker. It was dismissive. It was belittling. And when I said, I am not a bleeding heart, he said, oh, no, I didn't mean that. Oh, yeah, he did. He most definitely did mean that. It's invalidating. So there are 3 categories of microaggression: micro assaults, micro insults, and micro invalidation. Now, when we encounter these and we try to report them to get assistance from administrators or from supervisors, oftentimes we have responses that they're common, but they are unaffirming. They do not affirm what we experienced. They do not affirm our person or our professionalism, and they do not affirm us as a person. One of the ways in which supervisors or administrators may respond is to ignore or to dismiss what we're saying. I've had someone say to me, oh, I know what my administrator is going to say. They're just going to say, well, it happens to me too. I just go on. That ignores the issue and it's dismissive. So ignoring or dismissing the concern is one common response that is unaffirming. Another response that's very common and unaffirming is to blame the victim. How often have you gone to a supervisor or an administrator and expressed your concerns about microaggressions from another employee or coworker, only to have your supervisor to coach you as to how you can work better with that person? Coach you. This is what I think you should do. Coach you. And never say anything to the other person. That is called blaming the victim. I'm going to talk about social work school again. In graduate social work school, we read a book called Blaming the Victim. And that's when you put the onus for the problem on the person who has experienced the problem. The person, it's their fault. And when a supervisor or an administrator blames the victim and coaches you on how to work better with the person who has levied the microaggression, they're essentially saying that you're the one who's at fault. You're the one who's at fault. You need to be fixed. You need to fix the situation. Blaming the victim. The third common response that's unaffirming is to become defensive. Supervisors, administrators become defensive about it. Well, I don't know what you want me to do. Right? I don't see that. I don't even see it. I have no idea what you want me to do about it. They become defensive. But these are also responses that one might get from the person who is also levying the microaggression. They may ignore your concerns, dismiss you and your complaint. They will blame you, and they may become defensive. So whether it's the supervisor, administrator, or the person who is levying the microaggression, these are all common unaffirming responses. The third thing that we want to talk about today in this first part of our discussion, I forgot to put common unaffirming responses up. But the third thing that we want to talk about are the wellness impacts of microaggressions. There are personal impacts to our wellness that we experience when we are the recipient of microaggression. First, we experience increased stress. And this increased stress can develop and turn into anxiety as well as depression. So there is a personal, there's a personal response, reaction that is unhealthful. Increased stress, anxiety, as well as depression. Not only that, it also impacts our mental health. We feel shame. We develop self-doubt. Remember, I was saying, did I really hear that right? Or did they really say that? Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm misinterpreting. But we also may question our worth. Not only our self-worth as a person, our worth as a professional in the work environment. We may also, if microaggressiveness continues and we continue to be the victim of microaggressions, we may also suffer from low esteem. Our self-esteem may start to drop, as well as our self-confidence. And what this may mean is that we become ineffective in our work. It may make it difficult for us to even go into the workplace and to carry out our work effectively and in a manner that we're accustomed to. And what does this lead to? Anger, frustration, as well as sadness. So there's a great impact, a negative impact that we experience as a person when we are the recipient of constant microaggressions and microaggressiveness. And when we are experiencing all of these things, it in turn will affect our physical health. Remember, whenever we are experiencing extreme high stress over an extended period of time, it affects our health. It can exacerbate chronic conditions like high blood pressure and diabetes, as well as arthritis. It can also contribute to other conditions, chronic colds, flu, viruses, because it impacts our immune system. So there are physical impacts when we are the victims of constant microaggressions. But we also need to look at the well-being of the workplace. When microaggressions are prevalent in the workplace and people are experiencing it, it reduces focus and it can decrease productivity. It increases conflict. It breaks up teamwork, and you see poor collaboration. People don't want to work together. They don't want to work with each other. Why would they? Especially when they're experiencing those microaggressions. What happens when there's conflict and lack of teamwork? You start seeing missed deadlines, you start seeing errors, and you start seeing a decline in the overall job performance in the workspace, in the workplace. Not only that, in areas or workplaces where there is high microaggressiveness, there is high turnover, which means that it costs more to recruit, train, and retain employees, which increases the cost for the employer. So microaggression not only impacts the health of the person, it also impacts the health and well-being of the workplace. So we've been talking today about 10 effective mindfulness strategies to address microaggressions in the workplace. And this is just part one. And in part one today, we talked about what are microaggressions. There are 3 categories of microaggressions, and we went through that. We also talked about common unaffirming responses that are prevalent from administrators, supervisors, and those who levy microaggressions. And we also talked about the well-being impacts that are experienced by the person who is the recipient of microaggressions, as well as what the well-being of the workplace itself. So that's it for today. I hope you join me next week when we're going to cover how to use mindfulness. Yes, how to use mindfulness to combat, as a strategy, to combat aggression that you may experience and that might be prevalent in your workplace. I'm Marcyline Bailey. I'll see you soon. Thank you and take good care.